Welcome back to Creating Cooperative Kids. I'm your host, Bill Corbett. Social media is a network of websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. Now, it is reported that 500 million people use Facebook and over 250 million are using it from their mobile device. Social media is here to stay, and it's also changing, but how do parents who allow their children to use social media keep them safe online? Now, with me in the studio today is Scott Driscoll, former law enforcement officer who has dedicated much of his life to internet safety. He's the co-author of the book, www.areyouindanger.net, a must-read guide for children and adults in this digital age. Mr. Driscoll is the president of Internet Safety Concepts, an organization dedicated to helping families learn about being safe while using the internet and other technology. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Social media, you know, it's here. This is a digital age. A lot of parents want to let their kids use it, and because there's a lot of benefits from it. It can really help kids feel connected. They can communicate, unlike what we did when we were little. We were lucky if we used a telephone, but it's really created, in a lot of ways, a closer, a close-knit world. But of course, with anything, there's risks to it.
Yes.
So. Tell us a little about social media, your involvement and what you've learned.
Well, I love social media. As a person, I love social media. I've reconnected with people I haven't seen in years, family and cousins who I used to only see once a year on holidays. Now we communicate on a regular basis, and there's so many positives to it when used appropriately. When our children use it, there's a couple concerns I have. They have every right to use it if they follow the guidelines. The first guideline for parents, most social networking sites have a minimum age of 13. Now, I know there's no enforcement. Anybody can create a fake date of birth. But as a parent, I think we need to help and support that. And in my home, when my daughter wanted Facebook and Twitter, one of the first things I said was, you're not 13, we'll talk about it then. And although she might not have agreed with it, social network doesn't have a lot of rules. And the one they say is 13 is a cutoff age. So I think that's one of the first things we should do is respect that. The younger the kids get, they start to communicate with a wider age range. The average age of Facebook, depending on what survey you look at, is 38 or 41 years old, with a minimum age of 13. That's a wide age gap of people using it. Now, kids are leaving Facebook. They're not using Facebook as much. And one of the reasons kids are telling me is their parents understand Facebook, so they're leaving it. But other ones, Twitter, Instagram, Kik, Vine, they all have positive applications. We just can't drop our guard on who we're communicating with or what we're saying on them.
It was interesting what you said in your presentation when I was there to see you. You had revealed that a lot of these, or some of these applications are being run by people overseas.
Yes.
Who don't care about your kids' safety. They're running a business, and their object is to attract as many people as possible. They don't care how old they are, because they're making money in advertising or whatever, and creating that big following. So this falls in the lap of parents. They've got to take charge. I like to tell parents, you know what, we do live in a digital age, and if you do want to let your child use social media, you have to get involved too. You can't just let them go unattended, right?
You can't. And one of the biggest things is who are they communicating with? And if you don't understand it, well, take it as a learning experience from your kid. Your child might understand the program. Sit down and say, okay, how are you using it? How are you using it safely? Let's come up with some family rules. Let's talk about it. I really do believe that if we build up that communication and trust with our child, they might not try to be sneaky as much. They might tell us, hey, I've got this. These are my friends. These are my followers. This is why I want to use it. If we just come down and say, no more, maybe they're going to steer them away in a different place. So that might not be the right approach. There's a lot of different ways we can do it, but the biggest thing is who is in our child's worlds. If they are communicating with strangers on a daily basis, whether it's on a Facebook wall or on a tweet feed, it's strangers. And we wouldn't let them do it. If a stranger came to our front door, knocked on our door and said, I want to hang out with your kid, we would say, 911, get out of here. But just because it's digital technology, we shouldn't change our rules. A stranger's a stranger. And that's my biggest concern with social networking. There are so many positives for it. And it's a great way to communicate. And like you said, it's not going anywhere. So we have to learn how to use it responsibly. And I think responsibly and respectfully are two of the big things we have to do with it.
You know, I was speaking at a conference in Philadelphia, and I got up the first morning of the conference to turn my TV on in my hotel room, and a 13-year-old girl was missing. And the parents were on camera crying, saying, bring our baby back. Where is she? The next morning when I got up, I turned the TV on, they found her. She was alive, fortunately, but she was with a 20-something-year-old male in a train station headed out of town. And luckily, they captured her, or they captured him, and got her home safe. And now the parents were on camera screaming justice. They want him hung, you know. But when they also, in the news report, they revealed where she met this guy, who parents had no idea who he was. She met him on social media. And how? Because she's using it in her bedroom. Oftentimes, I like to tell parents, you know, it's okay to let kids use social media, but it's where and how often and when. And I think some basic guidelines that I like to offer is not in the bedroom, out in common area, and a limited amount of time, not nonstop, because you got to carve out time for homework. And so it's a parent's job to remove the distractions. And, you know, it shouldn't be used during dinner time, because we got to kind of rebuild the family.
Exactly.
And then sometime before bedtime, you know, they need shutdown time and time to explore and think on their own. What do you think about that?
I agree with that. And again, we said it before, it's easier said than done, because there's so much draw to kids. I mean, if I tell my daughter, hey, let's do a puzzle, like I used to do with my parents as a kid, she's going to look at me and go, well, puzzle? Why would I want to do a puzzle when I can play all these great games, I can communicate with the world? So I understand that. So maybe some family time could be the technology. Look to your child and say, all right, teach me something. I want to learn. Every time I work with parent groups, I always blame me. I said, go home and tell your kids that I scared you about technology, and they're going to be the ones that save you. Let them teach you what they're using and how they're using it safely, and then as a family you can decide this is appropriate for us, this isn't appropriate for us. I think if we don't listen to the kids on this, we might be missing a very important piece to it. But you're right about there's a lot of luring, and there's a lot of fake identifications out there, people assuming or pretending to be one person when they're in fact someone else, and luring over children is a big concern.
Talk to us about the different social media apps that you've learned. And now, like you revealed, they are jumping ship on Facebook. Now, early on, they learned to have multiple identities, but even those, the parents have kind of figured some of that out. So they're jumping ship, and they're going where? They're going to Instagram, Snapchat? Where?
Instagram, Snapchat's popular. Kik is very popular right now. It's a pretty cool program. There's a lot you can do within the Kik program, and it's becoming more and more popular because it's free. Parents might say to themselves, I have my child on an iPad. They don't even have a 4G network. My child can never text with anybody. Well, if they're on the Wi-Fi and they download Kik, they can communicate with the world. And that's another thing that sometimes we don't realize is how easy it is just with Wi-Fi, these programs. But Instagram is very popular. Vine, it's the 6-second videos. A lot of funny things out there, but there's some things that just aren't appropriate for our kids to see. There's some anonymous ones, Whisper, Yik Yak, and Street Chat, that you can do anonymous postings. My concern with these is I can post something anonymous, but it works with my GPS. And two of them, Whisper and Street Chat, you can private message me if you like what I put up there. And parents aren't even aware of these apps that are out there, and the kids could just post a comment. And it all started off with, it's a sounding board, just speak your mind.
Right.
Well, now there's private communication when we're speaking our mind, and it's GPS based. That's, if we think about safety, that's got some concerns. If you're just using it to vent, you had a bad day at school, I can't wait for summer, and you just vent, okay. But it's also attached to your GPS, and now people can communicate with you. And if we take it to that level, that's where safety has to be a part of it.
I just learned about those recently. I read an article that some of these sites, Yik Yak, was set up so that you can sound off. You can say, you know, this person, and I hate this person in my class. As long, you're not supposed to mention names, but there's no rules that you can't. Although I think I just read an article that the CEO of Yik Yak has, if they find out, because they now have a whole team of monitors, if they find out that you mention name, they shut it down immediately.
And what I got to give Yik Yak credit, what they've also done is it was developed by college students, for college students. Once they heard younger students were using it, they raised their rating to a 17 plus, but they also put up geofencing around a lot of the middle schools and high schools because that's not the audience they wanted. So they have the right to run their program. We have to accept that. We live in a country where you have those rights, and that's fantastic. They took it upon themselves going, this isn't the way we designed our app. We're going to put up geofencing. So theoretically, middle school and high school students can't even use the program when they're at school. Not perfect, because there's some holes in the geofencing. But I think that was a pretty aggressive approach from a company. They didn't have to do that. So I tip my hat to them for trying to make it as safe as possible.
I want to talk for just a minute about your book.
Okay.
Where did this come from?
That came from my undercover investigations. When I was working with a federal task force, I was a 13-year-old girl online for about 4.5 years. And my experiences, I said, I need to help educate. So I got a co-author who's a friend but a fantastic author of kids' books, and I said, I want to write something that families can read together, and that's how the whole thing started.
Oh, that's good. So it's intended for both adults, parents, and
It's
children.
for families. It's 12 fictional stories based on my investigations, and at the end of each story, there's questions or activities to get you thinking, and then there's advice on how to prevent it from happening in your house.
And you have kids yourself, you said?
I do, 18 and 15.
18 and 15?
And I had hair before the internet and kids, I can promise you that too.
Care to share just really quickly, any rules that you have in your home? Or you know what, let me ask you this question.
Yep.
If a parent catches a child making a mistake and they've done something that they know they weren't supposed to do, what do you think?
It depends on the mistake. With me, if it's a mistake that I already set up ground rules, hey, you can't have a Twitter account, you can't have Instagram, or you can't have people on there where you can't give me their first and last name. And that's the rule I go with my daughter. If she has a social networking account, I ask her 2 questions on her friends list. Who are these people, and why are they so important that they're in our lives? And the first thing she said to me was, not your life, it's my life. And then I showed her pictures of both of us together. I said, that's our family. It's our life. So if they're okay, then you should have no problem telling me who they are. And if there's anybody on there that I don't know, we block that person and she loses a device for a little while. Not permanently, not long term, but enough to say, okay, we've got to respect the rules that we have in place.
Good. Okay, well, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We're going to tackle one of the tougher issues coming up after the break, so hang in with me there.
You got it.
Now, in addition to the 2 topics, internet-related topics that we've handled so far, cyberbullying and social media, there is one more that deserves some attention. It's sexting. And when we come back from our break, we'll discuss this dangerous activity that can have severe effects on our youth. Stay with us through the break. We'll be right back.
G-morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me back.
You can figure out Jody's gonna
Hey, did you tell your parents about us? Let's skip first period together. Did you get all my texts? Is practice over yet? Where are you at? Are you with your friends? That's L-A-A-A-A-M-M-E-E-E. Capital X, lowercase o, capital X, lowercase o.
I love you. JK. I hate you. JK.
Are you ignoring me? We're in a huge fight right now. Is this something I did?
I can see your lights on. I'm coming over.
What'd you dream about? Me? I'm lonely. Holla back. Holla back. Let's try something new. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
Hey, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, this is so cute. How do you know him?
Come on, Donovan, do it like I taught you. Love the new tattoo, Sarah. Let's go!
Dude, that's Sarah. The girl in the pink shirt, that's the girl I was telling you about.
Oh, that's Sarah?
Theater 2 on your left. Hey, Sarah. What color underwear today?
Hey, Sarah. So when are you going to post something new?
Anything you post online, anyone can see. Family, friends,
See you later, Sarah.
even not so friendly people. Think before you post.